Real Virginia is proudly produced by the Virginia Farm Bureau Federation. Since 1926, Farm Bureau has been working to preserve Virginia farms and our rural heritage. Visit our website at vafb.com.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay, Atlantic to Appalachia, home in my heart always.
Hello everyone and welcome to Real Virginia, a show about Virginia agriculture and the people who produce all the wonderful products you enjoy, brought to you by the Virginia Farm Bureau. Summer is a great time to learn more about Virginia's largest industry and the history behind it. Greenhouses are great for cooler seasons, but also very useful in hot weather. And we delve into the farm economy of Halifax County, Virginia in our monthly County Agriculture Close-Up. Welcome back, everyone. We are coming to you from the Fauquier Education Farm in Warrenton, Virginia. We're going to have more from this farm later on in our show. But first, let's take a trip to Surry County, Virginia, and visit Chippokes Farm and Forestry Museum. Virginia state parks boast many amenities for travelers: pools, lakes, cabins, and hiking trails. But only one park boasts a museum that celebrates Virginia's rich farm and forestry industry history. Chippokes Plantation State Park's Farm and Forestry Museum is a self-guided exhibit that allows visitors to explore the lives of Virginia farmers at one of the oldest working farms in the nation.
We have a number of tools and implements that really highlight the period from about the early 1800s up through the early to mid 1900s.
In 5 outdoor exhibit halls, visitors can see how tools, techniques, and even crops themselves changed over time. The walking tour shows the many different skill sets used to run a large farming operation. Tools of blacksmiths, coopers, cobblers, and homemakers used during the birth of modern agriculture in Virginia are all on display. And there are several other historic landmarks on the property, including the home of Albert C. Jones. Jones was one of the first owners to actually live on the plantation, as opposed to previous owners who had been overseers or managed tenants who farmed the land for them. Jones used the river house as his principal residence until he built an Italianate brick home on the property around 1855.
This is the historical side of the park. We have farm buildings, we have a number of tractors, old-time tractors here on display. We do free tours of the mansion. Again, the access to the museum here is free. The only cost to folks is the $5 admission fee per vehicle to get into the park.
Other exhibits highlight the Tidewater region's tradition of forestry. Visitors can see a 1930s portable sawmill that was owned by Victor Stewart during the height of the timber boom.
The museum does a good job of showing folks the transition from the horse-drawn era up through again when tractors, especially the small early tractors, were first brought into farmers' lives, and how that really made life a lot easier. They were able to farm a lot more acres and do a lot more and so forth. So it is really interesting, and does give folks a good idea of how that transition was made.
Farm life would not be complete without crops and animals. The farm at Chippokes includes donkeys, pigs, goats, and chickens, and a bountiful garden area. And there is a little something for everyone at the state park.
We do have a campground, a 50-site campground. We have a visitor center. We also have an Olympic-sized swimming pool, which comes in real handy on days like today. And we have access to the James River, so a lot of folks like to go down there and walk along the river's edge, look for fossils, look for shark's teeth, and things like that.
Chippokes Farm and Forestry Museum conducts special events throughout the year and has guided group tours based on Virginia's standards of learning. The educational programs include livestock, plantation life, crops and soil, trades and crafts, and instructional nature trail. For more information on these programs, contact the park at 757-294-3439 or by going to dcr.virginia.gov.
From the Loudon Heritage Museum in Northern Virginia to Meadow Farm in Henrico County to the Frontier Cultural Museum in Stanton, there's an array of wonderful venues where you can touch and see what Virginia farming was like years ago. Other opportunities include the Southwest Virginia Farm Museum in Tazewell County, the Tobacco Farm Life Museum of Virginia in South Hill, the Northern Neck Farm Museum in Northumberland County, and the Booker T. Washington National Monument in Franklin County. Don't forget the historic farm plantations of George Washington, James Madison, James Monroe, and Thomas Jefferson, along with Colonial Williamsburg. And if antique tractors are your thing, be sure to visit the Keystone Tractor Works Museum in Colonial Heights.
Hi, today we're going to be talking about what you can grow in the summertime in a greenhouse from the ground up. Please stay tuned.
Farm Bureau is the insurance provider of choice for farmers. But did you know all Virginians can benefit? In fact, most of our members are not farmers. As a member, you are supporting worthy causes like local Virginia food banks and the Ag in the Classroom program. Your $40 membership will easily pay for itself with the many savings options as well. Farm Bureau is made for Virginians. To learn more about the membership advantage, go to vafb.com or visit your local Farm Bureau.
Greenhouses are great for protecting your crops during the cold weather, but Chris Mullins with Virginia Cooperative Extension has learned they're just as good during the summertime, from the ground up.
Hi and welcome. Today we're at Fauquier Education Farm. We're here with Mr. Jim Hankins, the executive director here at the farm. And Jim, it's warm out. We're talking today though about what you can grow in a greenhouse like this. Now is this a greenhouse?
We would normally call this a high tunnel. Okay. It's a temporary structure, it's plastic. You know, it wouldn't really give you the protection all the way through the winter, okay, but it does extend the seasons. Okay. What a lot of people don't realize is that midsummer, it's a fantastic environment, and really tropical plants respond to the additional heat and the environment inside this high tunnel.
Okay, well I'd love to go in here and see what you're growing. Well Jim, this is great. A lot of really good growth in here, and you're right, a lot of commercial farmers use this to bump the growing season. But like you said, you're not doing that here.
No, what we're doing here is, you know, taking advantage of the tropical heat to encourage these plants. And, you know, you get better quality. Okay. If you plant the right types of varieties. These little eggplant go nuts in here. Wow. If you've got the right varieties, and this year we have planted, you know, greenhouse varieties of cucumbers and tomatoes and peppers. Okay. The eggplant are just a standard variety that I would plant out in the field. Okay. But in this environment, they grow so much quicker. Right. You know, you have to monitor the heat. You know, in here I can raise and lower the sides to allow air circulation, to allow insect pollination. Okay. You know, if you've got a smaller greenhouse, you need to have a thermostat on it. I see. I have a 12-foot by 12-foot greenhouse, and at 90 degrees, a fan kicks on and, you know, cools it off a little bit. We don't have that in here. It's just opening and closing the sides. I see. But, you know, it won't slow down production.
So Jim, this is covered, you're not getting any rainfall. So what do you do to get water to these plants?
We use drip irrigation underneath the landscape fabric. You know, you can set that up on a timer. Okay. You do need more water in here. More heat means the plants are breathing more and they're losing more water. And you pretty much have to water almost every day on those really hot days. Sure. But it's really easy. A drip irrigation system is easy to set up. Yep. And uses very, very little water.
So the heat can be a little bit of a challenge, but you ventilate. Yes. Now, how about insects? Are they a problem in here, or they just stay away from here?
Well, you need to leave the sides open. You know, you need to allow for insect pollination. Unfortunately, there are some pests that respond to this tropical environment just as well as the plants do. You know, and some pests, aphids and mites that you won't run into really badly in the field, once they become established in here, their population can skyrocket. So you need to closely monitor and spray as you need.
Okay, and you could probably, because you're in a somewhat enclosed environment, can you release beneficial insects in here, possibly?
You could possibly. There are plenty of people that are releasing beneficial insects, ladybugs in particular for the aphids, you know, in the high tunnels.
Okay, so you've got eggplants in here, cucumbers.
2 different kinds of tomatoes and bell peppers as well.
Okay, wonderful. Now, if a gardener, this is kind of a large structure, they probably wouldn't need this.
Yeah.
What would you recommend for the home gardener to kind of do what you're doing here, main season production?
I know of people who, if you look up caterpillar tunnels,
Okay.
it's a small structure that you can build yourself just by bending PVC tubing and putting plastic over it.
Okay.
There are structures that people could build themselves, really easily in an afternoon that will give you the same results.
Well, that's great. That is wonderful. Well, I can really see great growth here, and it's doing really well for you. Thank you for letting us come out today and see what you're doing. This is wonderful.
Always glad to have you.
Well, for more information about structures like this, contact your local county extension office and talk to a master gardener. For From the Ground Up, I'm Chris Mullins, and we'll see you next time.
From the Ground Up is presented with the generous advice and assistance of Virginia Cooperative Extension. Visit their website at ext.vt.edu.
Virginia lamb is a treat year-round, but Chef Maxwell has come up with a way to bring it to your backyard grill next, in the heart of the home.
The State Fair of Virginia is known for its family-friendly atmosphere, exciting attractions, and, of course, fabulous fair food. The most important focus continues to be youth and adult livestock competitions, and dozens of competitions where other Virginians can win a coveted State Fair blue ribbon. Everything from prize vegetables to baked goods to crafts and photography are featured each year as the best of the best. The 2018 State Fair of Virginia runs September 28th to October 7th at Meadow Event Park in Caroline County. Visit statefairva.org to learn more.
If you're cooking out this summer, why not go beyond the traditional chicken, beef, or pork options? Chef John Maxwell has a recipe using Virginia lamb in the heart of the home.
Hi, and welcome to the Heart of the Home. I'm Chef John Maxwell, and I'm here at Meadow Hall in Meadow Event Park in Doswell, Virginia, where we get a chance every week to play with some great Virginia food. Today, we're going to be playing with Virginia lamb, world famous for Virginia lamb. And I'm going to make some shish kebabs. And shish kebab is an interesting thing from the Middle East that I think you'll enjoy our approach. And I've got some ground lamb here. I'm going to season it with a little bit of salt, all right, a little bit of pepper. And the actual amounts of these are going to be on the website. The recipe will be posted there, but we're just going to go through and use a little bit of these. I got some cayenne pepper, a little bit of that. I've got some dried grated lemon rind. Now you can either grate your lemon and do it yourself, or you can buy it in the grocery store. They sell dried grated lemon rind. Next is going to be some coriander, and this is what coriander looks like whole, right? And I'm going to use a little bit of the coriander ground. It's just got a gorgeous aroma. Right? And it's a very typical Middle Eastern spice, coriander. Next is going to be some cumin. And I've got some cumin here. I've got it ground. And again, big Middle Eastern spice and also Southwestern spice. But this is what it looks like in its seed form. So once I get all the seasonings in there, I'm going to mix this up. And make sure it tastes good. Let me get that there. This is my little grill. I love it. Just going to give it a couple of seconds to get good and hot there. I'm going to take these. These are shishes for a shish kebab. Shish kebab means sword of lamb. So this is a sword, traditional in Turkey. So I'm going to take a little bit of the lamb, kind of flatten it out just a little bit. Right? And I'm going to wrap it around this sword. Right? And I'm going to make sure it's on there. Right? And then I'm going to put this down on the, hear that sizzle? Ah, I love that sound. All right, so I'm going to get another one. And flatten it out just a little bit. Wrap it around the sword. Now, if you're doing this in your backyard, you can give everybody their own sword. They can play with their food as much as they want. while this is cooking, I'm going to go ahead and make the sauce. I've got some good locally produced Greek-style yogurt. It's nice and thick. All right. And I'm going to use some of the same spices, the cumin and the coriander, the lemon rind, all right, the cayenne pepper, and a little bit of chopped mint. All right. Now I'm going to mix this all up. Get it all mixed good. Now this should set for a couple of minutes to let the flavors kind of develop. Okay, we're going to let that happen in this bowl. All right, these are about ready to come off now. I'm going to cut this down and take this off. And I'm going to set it down here. I've got one of these opened up. I'm just going to kind of set it in and out so that you get a chance to see it. And we've got traditional lamb shish kebab, sort of lamb, and we're going to put a little bit of sauce on this one. And I'm not going to put it inside so that you get a chance to see what's going on with it. So there we go. Shish kebab with a yogurt and mint sauce. So join us next week on Heart of the Home, where we get to play with great Virginia food.
Recipes from the heart of the home can be found on the Virginia Farm Bureau website at vafb.com, as well as on Chef Maxwell's website at chefjohnmaxwell.com. Sheep and lambs are usually raised in or near Virginia's mountains, although you may find a few head of them across the state in hobby farms or 4-H projects. Sheep are a popular animal for young people learning to care for and show an animal because they're smaller and gentler than cattle. There are nearly 85,000 sheep and lambs in the Old Dominion on 2,315 farms. Farmers sell about 192,000 pounds of wool each year, bringing in about $266,000. More than half the sheep flocks in Virginia are small, from 1 to 24 head, although there's one flock with more than 1,000 sheep.
We have 37 parks across the Commonwealth. Every year, 10 million visitors enjoy 600 miles of trails from beaches to mountains, hundreds of cabins and campsites, even yurts. We are Virginia State Parks.
When Terrence grills burgers, he knows that just because they look finished on the outside doesn't mean they've reached a safe internal temperature of 160 degrees Fahrenheit. For burgers and thin meats, the food thermometer should be inserted into the side of the food. Now he is sure his food has gotten hot enough to kill any bacteria present. For more information on using a food thermometer and proper cooking temperatures, visit foodsafety.gov.
Halifax County is known by NASCAR fans as the home of the South Boston Speedway, but what many may not realize is that this county is also all about agriculture. As Dave Miller reports in our regular County Agricultural Close-Up series, Halifax County is a historical tobacco community that's turning a new leaf in agriculture.
Just above the North Carolina border is Halifax County. The population is a little over 36,000, and the largest town in the county is South Boston. Halifax County was established in 1752. Since then, the fertile land has been good to farmers and has produced numerous crops.
We have farmers that are niche farmers that cater more to the farmers markets, and we have people that are in the commercial produce business. We have people that are in the tobacco, soybeans. It's my feeling that all of those parts of agriculture are important.
Livestock, we have poultry, no dairy, but sheep, cattle, and goats, and then crops, everything from tobacco to grains to hay. So it's very diversified. There's a place for everybody, even down to the ag tourism and specialty niche markets.
There are 935 farms in Halifax County, covering almost 212,000 acres and generating $36.5 million in farm income each year. The top field crop is tobacco, followed by small grains. Crops make up 63% of the farm economy in the area, and livestock sales account for 37%. The land here is very fertile, and crops do well. At one time, tobacco was king, and it still is. But traditional tobacco farmers like Hilton Hudson of Hudson Farms will tell you even tobacco farmers have had to diversify to stay in agriculture.
There's several of us growing produce, and it's worked very well for me, but it'd be hard pressed to make a living without tobacco. It's still money in farming, but you got to work at it and have good health. I had to borrow money for 100 acres, and now I got 1,700 and some, and it's all paid for, and I got some savings too, but I stayed at work.
So the Hudsons are pretty set up well to be able to encounter any other type of obstacle they're going to face. So they have tobacco that they've had their steady contracts with. They have their produce that they can market all across the state to local stores or even locally. So they have a farm stand by the main road 58 as well. So they market through that. And then down to their livestock, and especially their cantaloupes. They were really instrumental in the Cantaloupe Festival getting started in Halifax and having Tuberville, Virginia, be known for cantaloupes in the county.
Produce-wise, well, we have our Tuberville cantaloupes. That's one of our pride and joys as well in Halifax County. Halifax is great for the types of soils because we can grow, like Tuberville has the sandy soil for cantaloupes, whereas like Virgilina has wonderful soil for watermelons and tomatoes. Every part of the Halifax County is different, and they have very diversified crops itself. But the produce we have down here at the market, we have every type of produce you can find down here.
Agriculture products from Halifax make an impact on the world market, and the door to expand agriculture enterprises is open in the county.
Halifax County is open for business when it comes to agriculture. We need more agricultural infrastructure, more agricultural businesses to locate here. We have a very low tax rate. We have a lot of land. And I would encourage any entity that's looking to come to south side of Virginia to take a look at Halifax County.
Whether growing historic Virginia tobacco, harvesting grain, tending to livestock, or raising some of the freshest produce the state has to offer, the farms of Halifax County and the producers making their living off the land are keeping agriculture and the heritage of the South Side going. In Halifax County, I'm Dave Miller.
That's going to do it for this edition of Real Virginia. We are so glad you could join us to celebrate the bounty Virginia has to offer. Whether it's in your home, your garden, or your landscape, we are proud to say that this is Real Virginia. So for everyone from the Virginia Farm Bureau, thanks for watching. Make it a good week.
Home will always be Virginia, between the Blue Ridge and Chesapeake Bay.